Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to 2018. I'm Dave, and of course, we're joined by.
I'm Matt, and Happy New Year! Glad to see you back and working again.
Indeed. So again, apologies for the weird setup on my part. I may have to answer a phone call. Car's gone in for a service, so I'm actually at my parents' house because that's where the garage is closest to. And again, so apologies for the probably terrible audio. But yeah, we will make it work. We'll make it work. So yeah, this is the first webinar from UnderstandingE of 2018. And like, for anyone who maybe hasn't been with us in the last couple in December, we fell out with Webinar Jam again.
So we'll get onto a topic about you and UnderstandingE for 2018 in a few moments' time. But yeah, we'll be using YouTube over Webinar Jam just for sheer reliability. In short, the one thing which does let us down, or can let us down as far as YouTube goes, the same for Webinar Jam, is just internet provider speed here in our respective offices. That's the only thing which could kind of trip us up. Webinar Jam, it would work one week, next week, no. Very frustrating.
Exactly. Link would stop working, and we'd find out with 1 minute before we go live. So yeah, not great, and led to us having a few issues, so to speak. But yeah, we should have a live chat. You should have a live chat box. So please feel free to say hello, Happy New Year, whatever it may be in the live chat.
That should be on the right-hand side of your screen. Or if you're on an iPad, it's hiding down in the bottom right-hand corner. You have to click on live chat, and it's hiding down there in the bottom right-hand corner. I discovered it the other day on the pad when I was trying to answer questions on another live version. So yeah, it's in the bottom right corner if you're looking for that. Now, there's three kind of topics which we would like to cover with you today. The first one is us for the next couple of months. The second is to see how you did over the Christmas period. And the last one is a real question mark around these masterminds. So if it's the first time of you watching one of these, believe it or not, we've hosted a mastermind every single week for the past 4 years. So we do have a question mark about what we do with these in the future. So we are looking for your feedback on those. So coming back onto the topic, well, I'll tell you what, let me ask you a question first, which is that how was your Christmas period? Was it as lively as you expected? Were you up? Were you down? How was eBay for you? How was Amazon for you? How did your website go? What's your post-Christmas remarks like? If you can now look back, hindsight is beautiful now. You can look back over your Christmas period. Did everything work out the way you expected it to do or not, as the case may be? Let us know in the live chat, which is going along with this mastermind. Now, while you're doing that, let's have a little chit chat about UnderstandingE for the next couple of months. Now, we're putting this loosely in the next couple of months for a reason. It's because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so reasons on the board to keep us entertained on top of normal activities. So we mentioned it last year, because we're in process of finishing off a year on YouTube, is that one of the courses which you'll see from us this year is YouTube, beginners, like an introduction, and definitely an advanced one as well. There's so much which I've been and personally learned. I know the same for you as well, Dave, with the Mank Entrepreneur. So much to be learned.
Absolutely.
We'll get a course out on YouTube, like I said, beginners and advanced as well, because there are definitely advanced things which you can do, but you need to get yourself up and running first. We do also have a book on YouTube being written at the moment. The bulk of it's been written already. I need to go back through. There's about 4 chapters which I need to go back and tweak, and there's an extra chapter which I need to put in, and it's getting there. I had quite a bit of attention before Christmas. However, over the Christmas period, is that this kind of links into the other big focus for us for the beginning part of this year, which is around software, in short. I've had and we've had numerous ideas, and you'll see me looking over there because I've got a huge great whiteboard set up there. Numerous different ideas for tools and utilities which can help you, whether you're selling on eBay or Amazon for that matter. And one of them is a good, absolute brilliant one, but we can't get to the absolute brilliant one until we break some ground with some easier ones and work our way up to it. So you will be seeing a collection of software being released by us over this year. I will let you into like an insight. I'm not going to mention what the tools are. We will let you know the second they are released. But I'll give you like a little insight. Back in November, I think late November it started. I've gone off and I've learned a new language, and I have spent pretty much my entire Christmas and the past 15 days learning, and just had my head down in a combination of YouTube, in books, and in online training courses as well, beefing up my skills, because I did feel towards the end of last year that because I hadn't done a large amount of development for, say, the last, well, besides the eBay updates which we had, not a huge amount, and I really needed to dive in deep, which I have done. And yesterday was the marker. That was the 15th of the month, where I needed to then pivot from being in pure education mode. And yesterday marked the day when I went from pure education into practical. So before, I've just played around with bits as I learned it over the last 2 months or so. And yesterday I sat down literally at 6:30 in the morning in Costa. Well, it would have been earlier, but the only way opened at 6:30, and sat there, wrote my first step function in Amazon AWS, and I'm now a day later, and I'm debugging that, because it's as you go, as you can imagine, as you work through these things, you hit stuff. But on the bright side, once that's in, that enables me to break into Amazon. In short, for anything which we want, whether it's been perhaps uploading inventory, whether it's collecting report orders, or doing things of that kind of nature with Amazon. And we'll be having a look at eBay as well. Well, eBay is really kind of straightforward. It's child's play in comparison.
You've got a lot of experience with eBay.
Yeah, plenty of experience with eBay. You know, not too much on the order side, but that's required for several projects. So we'll pick it up pretty damn quickly. And that's really it. That's been us. Well, that is us for the next couple of months. Now, I'm not going to say next 6 months. I'm not going to say next 2 months. It takes as long as it needs to be. But just be fully aware that our internal challenges or goals are very, very aggressive. But at the moment, they're also equally realistic. So at the end of this month, the gauntlet's down, and we've got to start delivering. So that's us, and we're going to move pretty quickly. I'm sure we will screw up many times along the way as we go through. It's just a fact of nature. Yeah, I'm really excited. I know what's on the list, and I'm not mentioning what's on the list because excuse me, it's raining here. It would give us a massive competitive advantage if we actually mention what the tools are. But some of them have been kicking around for 5 years or more now, and it's time that they did get out the door. Yeah,
and by you say kicking around, not publicly. There's some of these tools which nobody's done before, and there's a couple which have been done before, but not very well, should we say, or not as well as they could have been done. And also, again, I know a lot of you guys watching this know us mainly for UnderstandingE and the Magento people. In fact, all of these tools are not solely reliant on Magento. So whether you are using WordPress, Magento, Shopify, whatever it may be, BigCommerce, Volo, Channel Advisor, whatever software you're using, a lot of these tools will be universal. And that's a huge thing that we had to sort of realize this year is, you know, there's a huge audience out there, and still a lot of yourself whose lives could be made a lot easier with software, who also may not be using Magento, or may be using another platform. Maybe
just to add to that, Dave. And by the way, you have to excuse it. The heavens have just opened here, and it's belting it down. Just for make absolute clarity, we're not looking at any multi-channel listing software and order management at all. You must remember my history here. I've done it twice before. I have zero interest in creating a behemoth like that. Instead, there are ancillary tools which you will find of a massive help. And I know that there will be a massive help because there's been glaringly obvious holes in the marketplace for these things for a very long time. And one of them to actually be done right as well. And we're also, there's one which is very, very new to the arena as well. Now, obviously, Tink and Stink, howdy, and Paul, Digital Dreams, howdy too. Ian McMillan, howdy too. Chris, heavy snow here. It's absolutely belting it down here at the moment.
Heavy snow on and off here, and hail all throughout the day. It's not been fun here in Manchester.
Indeed, indeed. Nobody's really partying with their how they found their Christmas as of yet. So, business
top secret. I don't know. I'll give you some insights from what I've heard from.
I was going to say, Dave, were we starting to see any insights from eBay and Amazon? Are they making any noise about what's been going on?
I've not seen any official numbers yet from eBay. Amazon have said that, again, that their 2017 Q4 was the biggest ever, and Black Friday was the biggest ever. We've had some Black Friday numbers. We've not seen any sort of finalized Q4 numbers yet. But from what I've heard from people, either in Facebook groups or directly, is that Amazon has largely been great. eBay has been like that. The big wins for many has come from their own website sales. The people who've been following us, James, for example, from Hobbybase, he's seen a huge uptake in website sales since he started following the marketing course and the blogging course that we released back in September last year. And he's been busy on YouTube as well. And he's seen a huge uptake year-on-year comparison on website traffic, which is obviously a fantastic thing. And to no longer have to rely on marketplaces. Marketplaces are still very important, but to build that safety net of not relying on them is a huge thing for your business, and should be, in my opinion, one of the big focuses for a lot of sellers in 2018. You can't ignore Amazon. Amazon's growth is still incredible. It's, and that's where a lot of people are seeing the big numbers year-on-year growth is on the Amazon channel, to the point now where I think for a lot of sellers, you cannot ignore FBA to a degree. The prime buyers, they're just crazy, and they just buy. I think their average cart spend is double what a non-prime member is. And again, if you don't have the little prime logo next to your item, chances are you're not going to get bought by those prime buyers.
And so, Dave, I'm just going to reinforce that completely. I'm just thinking about my own buying habits, especially over the last year, which is, in short, there's been one exception, which was a power supply that sat here right next to me because it's such an oddball item, which is that one, which is a 10 amp 30 volt power supply. It's such an odd item. I had to get it from China, which actually ironically I bought off Amazon. That is the only exception which I can think of, which was not a prime item, which I personally bought off Amazon, physical products anyway, which was bought off Amazon. The rest, if it's not here this afternoon, then it's here tomorrow, and otherwise it's late.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think, again, this year, as a consumer, as a buyer, about 90 to 95% of Christmas presents in my house were bought through Amazon, and of course delivered next day. Yeah, that's the demand, and I'm a Prime member, and again, I expect things next day, and I don't expect to have to pay for it, and that's the Amazonification of buyer expectations. I'm a perfect example now.
There was over 1 billion items sent.
Yeah, it was on a eSeller Cafe post. Of course, guys, as well, check eSeller Cafe is the best place to keep up to date with all the latest e-commerce news. In fact, Richard, in the chat, you might be able to get to this before I do. I think Amazon said, well, they grew in the US by over 300,000 businesses. That's 300,000 third-party sellers signed up to Amazon in 2017. So that's the first number that I've just come across. Again, huge. I think Richard said that's more than Walmart actually had businesses in total. There we go, Matt. You found the link.
Yeah, it won't let me post the link.
Sorry. Yeah, 5 billion items were sold to Prime. Were sold through Prime in 2017. Now let me just see. Where's me? I apologize. I'm stuck on one screen here. I'm used to having two. Link is in the chat box there. Amazon ships 5 billion total products through Prime. And again, thinking about the statistics of that, at least half of them are coming from third-party sellers using Amazon's own statistics on third-party sellers.
Yeah,
so,
it was always getting there, and now they're very open to say more than half.
Yeah. So that would stand to reason 2.5 billion products have been sold by third parties using FBA or self-fulfilled Prime, maybe in the US, but still that's a huge number. And yeah, so again, I think it's to the point now where we cannot ignore Amazon. And again, you need to have an Amazon and a sort of Amazon FBA strategy, as well as your own marketing strategy as well. I think that's pretty much the sensible route to go down in 2018. eBay, as of course, for some sellers, is going to be still a huge platform, maybe even outdoing Amazon, depending on what the line is that you're selling. I know me and you were chatting before the new year, and we're sort of on the fence about what we're going to see from eBay this year. Devin's come out and said expect big things. I'm sort of thinking, well, what can they do to compete anymore? I don't expect them to go down by any means. I just don't.
Dave, that is exactly a clarification which I was going to add. Is that if anything, eBay will slow down, but it still will be a site which generates large amounts of revenue for you and your business. That was like perhaps my prediction. Was that my prediction?
I think that was your
for this year. It will grow at market average. And that's it.
Nothing, nothing crazy coming from eBay. We hope to be proved wrong. We absolutely hope to be proved wrong. We hope eBay have been sat on something amazing, and this is the year they're going to release it. Again, image search last year was one of the big things that eBay did, and it was fantastic. Blew Amazon's image search out the water, but it's just not enough to really make an impact on the marketplaces. But we will see. We'll see what 2018 has.
Yeah, it's a curious one. It's very, very curious. And I just saw Richard is logged in. He's at a cafe at the moment. I'm looking over there. There are 4% of all US retail sales. That's Amazon. That's just crazy. Yeah, crazy. And again, you think of the other parts of their business as well. And again, you'll have to excuse me. I've had my head in an iPad and in a laptop and in videos for so much time over the past couple of last 2 months, just absorbing so much. And Amazon are not just dominating as far as retail goes, like what e-commerce goes. They're owning in the online space through their Amazon Web Services as well. Something like 60%. They own like 60 to 70% of the market. And while Microsoft have got Azure, and you've got Google, Google Functions, and some other bits and bobs. The thing is that the bigger businesses just won't touch Google because their products are in beta.
Always in beta.
Microsoft, less so much. They probably make up the bulk of the difference. And it's kind of getting to that stage where, just like from an outsourcing of hardware and software to a degree, it's getting almost like that you can't go wrong if you remember. If you buy IBM, it's getting more like you can't get AWS. You can't go wrong. You can't get fired for it. And I think that's becoming more and more apparent now. So while they may be 4% of all US retail sales, I'd probably they're right up there from the online space with the processing stuff in the background as well. I think it's crazy what they've been doing.
It is. You think about the growth that Amazon have seen. It is, and again, Richard does a story out on eSell Cafe. Amazon is likely to become the third largest media platform for advertising after Google and Facebook. And that's the thing with Amazon is like they're not just a marketplace anymore. They also are a seller. They sell hardware. They design their own products. They also own AWS, a whole web system. They've created their own languages, and now they're also a media platform in the types of promoted listings and things like that. And there's an article out on eSeller Cafe, again at the minute, esellercafe.com, where we speculate, will Apple become the first $1 trillion company? And in reality, there's only really 3, questionably 4 companies who will get to that trillion first: Apple, Google, Amazon, or Facebook. And Facebook, the rank outside, are really the big 3 is Apple, Google, and Amazon. So
yeah, indeed. Dave, I've just sent you across a link to a video, which, by the way, I'm sure that all of you will enjoy sitting down and watching. It's actually a comparison between Apple and Google and how different they are. And so I just sprang to mind. We had the conversation which we did yesterday or so. Yeah, I know that you'll enjoy that one. So do put that one down to watch later after this live session. Really, really curious, to say the least.
It's a curious one. And again, just to come back to the question, Blueshire, thank you for commenting, sir. He said Christmas was manic. The supply chain was struggling to keep up with demand. Will plan buying better this year. And that is, Blueshire, that is what we class as a good problem. Is that it wasn't you that broke down, it was the supply chain. So that's that the stress test broke them before it broke you, if that makes sense. Not a great position to be in. Obviously you feel that you could be selling more, and if stuff goes out of stock, but now you're better warned for this year, and you now know what demand to expect, with perhaps a rough 20% increase for year on year. So again, bear that one in mind. You know what to look out for this coming year. And yeah, that's a fantastic problem to have. So well done. It sounds like you had a great Christmas.
Yeah. There's good problems and there's bad problems. That's a good problem. Sure. Just looking back through 2017 for myself, is that the one thing which really stands out for me, and it's, by the way, I always find this very useful, but personally myself, this is why I'm sharing it with you, is that to look back and can you ask yourself, can you put your finger on one thing which you were amazed or shocked about or impressed with, or what stood out last year for you? And the one thing which has stood out by leaps and bounds, and it's going to be no big surprise to many of you, was for YouTube. And the realization, and this is why we're going to focus on it this year, is that YouTube was and proved to be the third marketplace. And I know that for many of you, you always look for that other marketplace. What was the not QVC, the orange site? There was another marketplace around originally, which
was it Kelku? Kelku? Is that orange?
Yeah, Kelku. That was a price comparison.
Oh, yeah, that was
the company now. But in short, everybody was always been looking for another marketplace like eBay or like Amazon for them to sell their products on. And here's the thing: is that there is very few of them. To the point, for the last year or two, there's been a lot of enthusiasm is the correct word, not BS, for this, which has been thrown around by Latin America, Brazil, and Japan, and China, and things like that. All these big focused groups being put towards them. And the reality is that, yes, of course, you can absolutely storm those if you put the time, effort, and energy in. But remember, there is a huge, and I mean a huge barrier to entry, which is called just a minor little detail, which is language. And I didn't say logistics; they can be got over, but language is a massive factor, a massive limiting factor. Whereas on the flip side, I was so blown away by the response and productivity of YouTube. And yes, it wasn't, and yes, it's not easy. Yes, it does require a year or more. But for me, it was the stark realization that YouTube is the third marketplace, and it's there for anybody who wants to grab it. And there's no special secret sauce. There's no magic which needs to be applied. You just need to turn up every single day. That's it. And if I can do it, if they can get damn near close to it as well, I'm sure that you can too as well. I am genuinely surprised by how productive YouTube was last year. And again, I urge you to do that for yourself in your business. What was the thing which really stood out for you? What shocked you looking back? And again, I always look for that one because I expect it from myself. What shocked you last year, Matt? And I'll go, fucking hell, YouTube was mad. And it was absolutely mad. And again, I'll dig out some details to give you guys some an idea on what kind of revenue which was generated, again, for those, this is put into a public forum now on YouTube, where it's been the previous last 4 years or so, have been hidden away. $381,000 were earned in just over a year via YouTube. So please tell me right now, put it in the chat, who those here would sniff an extra maybe 300 grand worth of sales.
Yep.
Please let me know if your business is too big to decline 300 grand's worth of sales. And because that in reality is exactly what I personally drove over the last 12, 15 months or so via YouTube. Crazy numbers, $381,000 US. So there's me saying YouTube was a bit of a shocker last year. There's the reason why.
Big numbers.
And like we said, there's no secrets to this. There's nothing hard. There's nothing complicated. You just really need direction. That's why we mentioned back at the beginning, focus from us for the first couple of months will be YouTube. Oh, we must also chuck in WordPress in there as well. Something which I know Dave is in the process of looking at, and with something we've touched on a couple of times before in the past and just never got ourselves over the line. We will be looking into WordPress, WooCommerce, which is the free plugin for WordPress to turn WordPress into an e-commerce store, which is actually owned by Automatic, which is the company which own WordPress. And we'll also be looking at WP Lister, which is, they've got a free version, but to be honest, you want the paid version to link up eBay and Amazon as a plugin to them as well. And then we'll look at creating, not to the same degree as what you can do with Magento and M2E Pro. And by the way, those of you which are using Magento and M2E Pro, happy days, this would be a step backwards for you. But those of you looking for, in reality, a very inexpensive step into multi-channel software, then what we're talking, 10 quid hosting a month, if that, and $130, I think, to add eBay in, and you get your own website as well. The money's a joke. In short, an absolute joke compared to other tools which are out there. It works. It works really well. Yeah,
and it's also open source as well, which is nice.
There is Dave, you hit the nail on the head there. There are a squillion extensions for WordPress. It's there's a reason why it's the #1 platform for blogging. In short, it can be so easily molded. And one of those ways it can be molded is into e-commerce. And yeah, Ian and Bob, bring it on, totally.
Bring up 300K, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like Matt said, obviously, while Matt is busy coding, get his head down in the software, I am here in the background putting together the plans for the upcoming courses, which you can expect to see from us this year. So again, as we've mentioned, YouTube Basic and Advanced is one. That will go hand in hand with the book that Matt is writing as well. I think I did 1 chapter so far. But yeah, so they're the main things that we're looking at. Again, and like I said, WordPress, WooCommerce, and WP Lister. We have pretty much the outline of that done, and like I said, we've spoken about this many times before. It's literally just getting the priorities right to get that recorded. Magento 2 is something, again, which this year we cannot ignore anymore. Just want to throw this out there again for utter clarification, because we still get asked this. Magento 1 is great. It still works, and it will continue to work until at least 2020.
Actually, Dave, can I put that down as the biggest shocker, which had nothing to do with me, which was the complete screw up on Magento's part, releasing version 2, and everybody thinking version 2, wow, it's got to be better, and in reality, it was so far away from being better.
They basically released beta software, and they did it in November. So God knows how many people's Christmases got ruined that year. And then it was until I think April or May last year, maybe even June, before I think M2E really got its stuff together on the Magento 2 into a fashion that we would, recommend it being usable. But still, it's like Magento 1 is tried and tested. It's got the extensions, the plugins, the themes. It's still there, and yet still. Matt, you go have to take over for 1 minute.
Yeah, at this point, let's go for it. Just hit mute. All right. And apologies on Dave's behalf there. As many of you know, his car's in, and that'll be the garage there. Yeah, so putting that, so we will focus on Magento 2, not immediately, but later on. As things start to mature, as more tools become available for the migration from 1 to 2, we'll cover that later, and I mean late this year. We will focus, but we will come back and look at Magento 2 much more in more depth as now it's stabilized down. And those of you which are thinking about whether you should be using Magento 2 or not, the short answer is no, wait off until late this year as well. Because Magento 1.9, that thread is just so good. In short,
so stable.
Yeah, much more stable for it. Dell asks, are you doing anything with Shopify? Absolutely. Again, there was a big hoo-ha in the autumn of last year about eBay having this great integration, and they bigged it up so much. And we all prayed and are still praying that eBay do not buy Shopify because they have a terrible, terrible history of knackering very good products. What was the American Richards on? There's been a collection of
was it 6-bit? Was it 6-bit they bought?
6-bit, and then there was one before that as well. Some at stores,
Pro
stores.
Blackthorn, no.
Yeah, Magento. Yeah, they've got a little bit of history screwing up when it comes to commerce.
When it comes to Shopify, it's an interesting one because obviously Shopify last year got a whole host of buzz, with regards their eBay integration, their Amazon integration, and that was the point where when they announced that, we were like, wow, this could be multi-channel software level. And then when we dug a little bit deeper on that news, it turned out they had an eBay integration which was only for ebay.com and could only be done in dollars. So for the vast majority of the world, it didn't make any sense. It wasn't usable. And the same with Amazon. I think their Amazon integration is exactly the same in as far as it's only for Amazon.com and it can only be used in dollars. And then towards the end of last year, Shopify was getting a little bit of bad press about people just using it as a drop shipping platform and not really it being taken seriously as an e-commerce platform. Now, the truth of the matter is that Shopify is a fantastic website platform, and we will be
really good.
It's so easy. It's after going from Magento to Shopify, it's like going from algebra to your 2 times tables. It really is simple to use, almost to the point where I was like, do we even need to do tutorials on this? And then was like, yes, there is a few little nuances where it would be cool to know how, make it super easy for you to do. You click around yourself and get lost and sort of find your way by accident. So there will be Shopify tutorials. I am currently in the process of, again, putting together a plan for Shopify. They're not going to be that complicated. In all honesty, they're not.
And Dave, remember, we still have this big question mark around the marketplace integrations as well, because remember, Amazon US was the only supported marketplace, again, except for the hoo-ha and huff about them. It is, number one, it's very easy to use. Let's not forget that for one moment. But the Amazon integration was only US. The eBay integration to begin with was only going to be, you guessed it, US. And also, despite it being easy to use, etc., it does have a chunky subscription fee to it. and they will also charge you for every single transaction as well,
Yeah.
of a variable amount as well. So it's horses for courses.
It is. It is. And that's the thing, you know, we always, UnderstandingE started out as being, you know, the sort of open source solution, no, you know, what's it, percentage of sale and all that sort of stuff. But it's to the point where Shopify is that much of a behemoth these days. It's got that much traction behind it. We have to cover it. But as far as me and Matt are concerned, it isn't a true multi-channel software, because cross-border trade doesn't really exist when it comes to the marketplaces, and that is a huge opportunity, especially this year with Amazon Australia kicking off, and Singapore and all the rest of it. It's Shopify we will cover, but I would still not recommend it for your multi-channel business unless you wanted to run a Shopify website and then have a separate entity for eBay and Amazon, which sort of negates the whole reason of having multi-channel software. You're still then starting managing stock on 2 different platforms. It all gets very messy. You start leaving yourself open for, you know, stock issues and order mistakes and everything else. So we will cover it, but Magento's still the best platform.
Yeah, is where it's at. It's more stable. It's more used to it. And again, the apps are not even out there and not very well internationalized, especially again assuming the majority of you are US and UK based, especially. So yeah, do keep that in the back of your mind. We'd love to get to Shopify. Great, simple platform. Yeah. But you need to go in eyes wide open.
Very much. I think that will have to be the introduction tutorial on that one. Is this is not truly multi-channel software, and it isn't open source, and there are subscription and pay-as-yourself fees. So bear that in mind.
Yeah, that's it for sure. So sorry, I just saw Cy Barry just popped in the chat as well. What shocked me was how much my Bitcoin increased in value. Yeah, totally.
Not today. Jesus, talk about bloody Tuesday. Everything's gone down today. Big crash.
It's well, I didn't know that, Dave, and I wrote this. A big crash. Absolutely, it will get pumped up, and then they'll pull the strings, and then they'll make money on the losses.
Absolutely. It did exactly the same this time last year. Pretty much to the same date of January 2017. The same thing happened, and within a month, it had reached a new all-time high. So, fingers crossed, it carries on in that realm. Yeah, I do think again, 2018 could it be the year of cryptocurrency? Potentially. It's interesting because now it's in the mainstream media, and that's when the uneducated or the unrehearsed sort of get involved, and prices can go a little bit silly, and people can start losing a lot of money. So very curious, Bitcoin and crypto this year.
Indeed. And it's actually about time we start thinking about wrapping up. So on that note, Dave, I've just sent you some text. You can chuck that in the chat as well. We are, as always, we are looking for you for topics which you would like to be covered this year. And again, in what we class as weekly masterminds, which this year are going to be live on YouTube, in short. So we get to leave every mistake in, which is brilliant. And I love being live on YouTube mainly because it means 0 video editing. But on a very, very serious point, over the past 4 or more years, we have held a mastermind pretty much every single week, obviously with a break around the Christmas period, and we've covered an absolute ton. So it very much is an open question to you. What would you like to see from us over this year in the weekly masterminds? And that is a dead serious question, because we have a lot of, between myself and Dave, we have an awful lot of experience. In fact, it's kind of scary to think how much experience which we've got. And we don't want to be doing you a disservice by covering something which you maybe feel is too basic or maybe too complex. So yeah, do take this seriously, the question, because we would genuinely love to hear from you what you would like to be seeing over the next couple of weeks, months, etc. And Dave's been to pop the email address in the chat, so please do get in touch.
I think that's the interesting one is, you know, whether we do weekly, whether we do monthly, what you want to see from us. We're open to suggestions. We really are. Like Matt said, we've done this now every week for pretty much 4 years. And, you know, it's to the point where our whole purpose with UnderstandingE has always been to give you value watching this. And Rather than us start repeating ourselves or start telling you things which you already know, we're taking an hour roughly of your day. We want to make sure that you're getting something beneficial out of that hour. So whatever idea it may be, no matter how off the wall it may sound, how different it is to what we've done previously, email me, dave@understandinge.com. Remember, there's no such thing as a daft question. There's no such thing as a daft suggestion. So yeah, that's pretty much the open invite. What do you want to see from us? How can we help you is ultimately the big question. And yeah, if you can answer us that, then that will allow us to better tailor these webinars going forward to best suit you.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. So on that note, just to quickly recap, I'm just looking at my notes over here. Yeah, the first couple of months of this year are going to be, number one, focused upon development from our side. So don't panic if you don't see very much of myself. It just means the head down. And I know what's on the list. Like I said, I'm not telling you what's on the list, but I know what's on the list. Dave knows what's on the list, and some of it is pretty exciting, to say the least. And we have some very, very aggressive is the best term for it. Time frames to get stuff done in. So give us a month and a half.
A lot of exciting software coming this year. And like I said, some big ideas which me and Matt have now been sat on. I mean, Matt's been sat on a few for years. We came up with one 2.5 years ago. And it's just having, again, I can't code. We have to rely on Matt for that. And yeah, so there's a lot of exciting stuff coming this year. And as always, of course, as UnderstandingE members, you will be the first to know about it, and you'll be the first to get hands-on with it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, exciting times over the next few months.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, you will be seeing more about YouTube this year from us because of the success last year. Yeah. Crazy numbers. And the crazy numbers of revenue was generated by just genuinely mucking around. It is completely repeatable on YouTube. Perhaps if you took it a little bit more seriously, you could have done more. And don't forget, that was gross sales as well. Absolute crazy numbers. So you will be seeing a basics and advanced course from us on UnderstandingE. Don't forget, we'll also be doing a book on it as well. In fact, the book is actually the warm-up for the course to help with us with the structure and make sure we get all the key details in there for you as well. Although the video course will be able to go off in more specific depth in key areas, especially in some of the advanced topics as well. And yeah, that's it really. The last topic really is that let us know what you'd like to hear from myself and Dave over the next couple of weeks and months. And you can do that. Dave popped it in the chat on the right hand side.
@understandinge.com is the easiest way. Or like I said, there's a Facebook group. You can reach us in there. The forums, you can reach us in the UnderstandingE forums. However you want to get in touch with us, please do. And Chris, like I said, you said maybe AdWords, tutorials, or promoting a website via organic search. My biggest one for organic search for you, because this is something which I've seen, or we've seen great success with the eSeller Cafe, is you have to turn into a publisher. You have to just create content. That is the best way that you're going to get found with organic search. Get a blog, get a video log, get a YouTube channel, and start pushing content out there. That is the best way you're going to find organic success.
Absolutely.
And we can put that into a tutorial. We can dress that up, but that's bare bones as you're going to get it right there.
Yeah.
Put content out there that people want to read.
Everything is interlinked. What you create for YouTube needs to be on your blog. What you create on your blog is what you create on YouTube. It's what you share. It's
what you send as emails. It's what you put on social. It all links together, and that is where the organic success comes from. Is you make it very hard for the people who need to find you to not find you, if that makes sense. You're going to be everywhere. So if someone's looking for you, they're going to find you. And that's the best way for organic success.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, there's no big secrets to any of this.
No, it's just hard work, really. It really is.
Really hard work. And you being an entrepreneur, you're not allergic to that at all.
The reason you're in this conversation is because you're not opposed to hard work. And the good news is a lot of the trickier stuff can be outsourced. So again, that's one of the good news.
Absolutely. So on that note, it is time for us to wrap up. For myself and Dave, we'd both like to wish you a very happy new year. One thing before we go, think back to that question which I asked earlier. What one thing amazed you or perhaps shocked you about last year? Ideally about either personally or about the business, and take that away and maybe as motivation for this year. I know personally for the last couple of years, 10 years at least, there's always been something crazy which has gone on in that year, and it's really stood out for myself. And maybe your last year wasn't like that, and there was nothing of a particular noteworthy notes or anything which is noteworthy. Maybe that should be something which you to focus on this year, so that when you go back at the end of this year and look back and go, wow, I didn't expect that to happen, or I tried my best. So yeah, it's a curious one. It's time for us to wrap up there, and Dave's taken the phone. So from both of us, thank you very much for taking the time to join us here live. Any questions or comments you can either leave underneath this video over on YouTube, or you can pop across to UnderstandingE.com and ask in the forums over there. So for myself, Matt.
And from me, Dave.
Cheerios.
We'll catch you guys soon. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.